Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about sell high running backs for fantasy football in 2020. You're going to want to sell high on these guys before Week 5 begins, because once Week 5 starts, it may be a little too late for you to get these guys off your roster. In this video, we're going to be touching on 4 running backs here that we believe are going to be the sell high options for this week. Now, if you guys want to see the sell high wide receiver video, that came out either yesterday or earlier today, so you guys definitely need to make sure you guys check that out. So before we get into it, I'd like to ask that if you guys do end up enjoying these sell high running backs, to please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys dominate that 2020 fantasy football championship. So before we get into it, I'd like to give you guys a quick introduction to Tyler. You can have the floor here.
Hi, how is everyone doing today? That's a rhetorical question. Unless you want to answer in the comment section, we'd appreciate that. Comments increase this video, helps Nick grow, helps the channel grow, and you become a legend in your own right. You should think
It
about
also helps my PP grow. Let's do it.
Well, you know what? That's something you should deal with on your own time, Nick. Just kidding. Deal with it with me. Just kidding. How's everyone doing today? I already asked that question. Nick, kick it off. I'm losing my mind over here.
All right, let's get into it. So my first sell high running back here is Melvin Gordon of the Denver Broncos. Week 5, his matchup is up against the New England Deflatriots. Now, the real problem with me with Melvin Gordon is the fact that Philip Lindsay is going to potentially be returning this week. And if he doesn't return this week, this matchup is still pretty bad, because I would assume Lindsay would come back at least, maybe if he doesn't come back week 5, probably week 6. Last week, he played up against the New York Football Jets, which is the softest defense you have ever seen in your life. 23 rushes for 107 rushing yards, 2 rushing tutties, 2 receptions, 3 targets, 11 receiving yards for 25.8 PPR points, or 24.9 half PPR points. So Melvin Gordon clearly was a force to be reckoned with up against the New York Football Jets, because again, like I explained, that Jets defense just does not come out to play. They are a completely different breed, and that breed is complete and utter dumbasses because of their head coach, Adam Gase. Now, this week he gets the New England Patriots. Now, I understand that that defense doesn't have the great defense that they probably could have had if a bunch of the guys didn't opt out, but it doesn't seem to matter at all. Last week, we saw even with Brian Hoyer, the Kansas City Chiefs defense was able to, not the Kansas City Chiefs defense, the New England defense was able to play quite well in the first half of the game up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they're playing up against the Denver Broncos, who may have Drew Lock this week. Maybe it's Rippin, maybe it's Blake Bortles, maybe it's Jeff Driscoll. I really have no idea. And with the imminent return of Philip Lindsay, who just completely screws Gordon over because he just makes it pretty much a 55 to 45% split in Gordon's favor. And before Lindsay ended up getting hurt, it seemed like Melvin Gordon was going to lose that job to Philip Lindsay, because Melvin Gordon fumbled and then Philip Lindsay was playing quite well. So I'm not all too sure that this offense is even super comfortable with Melvin Gordon being the running back for the future, or being the workhorse running back kind of on the team. So I think with Philip Lindsay coming back, I'm really worried about Melvin Gordon, and this matchup against the New England Patriots, even if Lindsay is gone, is not going to provide that awesome sell high window that it would have given he had maybe a softer matchup this week.
Yeah, direct quote from Vic Fangio talking about Philip Lindsay's situation. Thursday, he said, Thursday when they played the Jets, he was ready to play mentally and physically, but I didn't feel comfortable playing him without any practice. He essentially hasn't practiced since facing the injury, and last week's practices were all walkthrough type practices. So basically, he was not ready to play the Jets. He could be ready to play the Patriots via practicing, but that was really the situation. He didn't feel comfortable running him out there with what was all the situation that was going on. Obviously, the short week didn't help. If he had played Sunday, the team had played Sunday, I think he probably would have gotten in there. Do I believe he's going to have a lot of impact the first game back, enough to kind of hurt this Melvin Gordon stock that we have here? But as the weeks go on, he's going to dig more in. This is a situation that I'm not really loving right now for Melvin Gordon, and you're probably seeing the best of him this week.
All right, so next running back here, we're going to go to Tyler's, and then we're going to go back to me, and then back to Tyler again. So Tyler, who's your first running back to sell high here for this week?
Hi, I'm Tyler. I was not normally concerned about this man, but I've now built a large concern for him. It's Jonathan Taylor. I'm just going to read out his snap counts the past 4 weeks, just if I may. 36%, 68%, 40%, 46%. I mean, but he's not on the field. Like Jordan Wilkins exists, Nyheim Hines exists. Like, I don't know if I don't feel comfortable with this. I mean, he had a lot of touches, but I mean, he's not getting involved passing, even though he did the first week. Phillip Rivers is an issue. This team just isn't looking good. They've got a really, really tough back end of the schedule. They got Baltimore in week 9, Tennessee in week 10, Green Bay week 11, Tennessee week 12. They get Houston twice in there, but they got to go to Vegas and they got to go to Pittsburgh. And it's just, these aren't really situations I love. I think his schedule's rough. I think in Dynasty, you should be looking to buy him like in the off season. I mean, seriously, I think he'd be a great buy low in the off season because he's going to come off a situation where there's a chance he may be on a playoff roster. And if he plays week 15 on a playoff team, he's going to roll because it's the Texans. But Jonathan Taylor's going to hurt people if they get to the championship week in week 16 and they're facing Pittsburgh. I know you're not supposed to look that far ahead. I don't care. That's going to hurt you. You're going to remember Jonathan Taylor for being a guy that hurts you. I know Nick has an argument for this, but Jonathan Taylor is going to be the guy that people are like, I hate him. He hurt me in this week that I needed to win the championship because I never won one or whatever their situation is, and you can trade for him then. But right now, you got to get rid of him. Go ahead and argue me, though, Nick.
All right, honestly, the problem here is the fact that I think a lot of people are just really off of Jonathan Taylor, like the people who have him, where I feel like we're going to talk about this in another video where he's just going to be a trade target because a lot of people are just completely sold out on the guy, right? He's had one good week, week 1, and the last 3 weeks have been absolute shitters. So now people are thinking this guy's a rookie. He can't do it, blah, 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 blah. In reality, he's running up against the best offensive line in the NFL graded by Pro Football Focus, okay? They have the best offensive line. Jonathan Taylor will figure it out. Maybe it takes a couple more weeks for him to really start getting the carries that we want, but that's okay because he's a guy that right now you can buy for a really cheap piece. So I'm not really getting off of Jonathan Taylor unless you're getting someone that is really worth it, because I don't think a lot of people are willing to pay what you would like for Jonathan Taylor.
That's fair. That's fair. But still, I just think the schedule is just rough for him, and he's not seeing the field. I got to have the guy at least see the field to get over the scheduling issues.
Okay, I can definitely see that. So my next guy here, another rookie running back, Antonio Gibson of the Washington football team, this week going up against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, Antonio Gibson has scored 1 touchdown in his last 3 games. Now, do I expect that to keep up? Probably not, because I'm very confused about this Washington football team backfield. It seems like they do have a lot of guys. While Antonio Gibson is the one getting a majority of the touches, it seems like on a weekly basis, a whole new guy is getting more touches in that backfield. And do I really want to trust Antonio Gibson for the rest of the season? Now, obviously, in some situations, I've seen people trade for him and they're getting a nice value on it. But for a guy that I would want to have on my team, typically I prefer a guy that's on a team that's not fucking absolute dick and going to be down in games by a lot when you have a running back. All right. The Washington football team, not very good. Last week up against the Baltimore Ravens, though, did play quite well. 13 rushes, 46 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 4 receptions on 5 targets, 82 receiving yards, 22.8 PPR points, and 20.8 half PPR points. So I'm not saying Antonio Gibson's a bad player. I'm not saying that he couldn't continue to be like a guy that was solid on your roster. What I'm saying is right now is the best point to sell Antonio Gibson. He scored 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks in a row. That is not going to fucking continue to happen. He gets the LA Rams this week. Aaron Donald is going to eat this guy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So don't be afraid to sell Antonio Gibson right here. At the highest point, you can sell him. He's not the problem. Again, like, I don't hate Antonio Gibson. I actually think he'll be okay for fantasy football, but right now is the perfect time to sell him when he's coming off of an absolute heater. So what do you think about Mr. AG Antonio Gibson?
I think he's a hold player. I don't really think you can trade him off of what he's done the past 3 weeks with such a low snap share. His what he's done with it has been fantastic. I think he sees an increase, especially after a really tough matchup against Baltimore, where he really shouldn't have done what he did there. He took 13 carries, tied with week 2 for his second highest.
Yeah.
And he was fantastic with it. He saw his most targets, his most receptions from those most targets. He's got a touchdown in 3 straight games, all on the ground. I think he's just legit. I really don't see a situation where I can move off this guy. We're struggling to say start him, especially in this week, I wouldn't have said start him, and he did great. I just think trading him is a little premature, but I think selling him, so I think trading for is going to be tough. So you're kind of in a bind here. I think if you have Antonio Gibson, you hold on to him, see what kind of shapes out, because I think situationally wise, I think it's going to get better. The Rams, kind of a tough team, but you could see that he's used in more than just the rushing attack after we saw last week with 5 targets. Then he gets the Giants, and then he gets Dallas. He was on a bye week. He gets the Giants, he gets Detroit, and he gets Cincinnati, and he gets Dallas again. And it's like it doesn't really hit a rough patch until like 13, where you see Pittsburgh and San Francisco. But the playoff schedule is nice because you get Seattle and Carolina. I think this is a guy you could probably trade for. Not really seeing the sell high, but Nick, I respect you as a man and as a person, so I'm not going to throw too much heat on you.
See, again, the problem is, like you said, on a weekly basis, are you really comfortable starting him? Like you said last week, you would have said to bench him. This week up against the Rams, would you say you'd want to start him? Would you want to sit him? Because
Yeah,
then again, if he's like your running back 3 on your team, do you even want to play him as your flex over some other options? That's the thing with Antonio Gibson, is a lot of people, I feel like, overdrafted him to the point where they're not going to be able to sell them because, hey, I drafted Antonio Gibson like the 5th round. Whereas people drafting earlier in August might be more likely to sell him based off of the 13th round draft pick or whatever Antonio Gibson was at that time. So I'm still very comfortable selling the guy strictly based off the fact that I'm just not too sure what's going to happen with the Washington football team. What happens if they even play? Do they even play Dwayne Haskins the whole season? Is Case Keenum play? Is that the backup? No, Kyle Allen's the backup. So
yeah.
I really have no idea what's going to happen with Antonio Gibson. So I'm more selling him based off the fact that I'm not too sure his future is really defined. Whereas I think that you can get a nice piece for him right now off this heater he's been rolling on.
Yeah, I just don't think you drafted him to contemplate starting him. You drafted him on the hope that he'd break out, and now you should have a team. I mean, obviously injuries have just killed everyone. I mean, at this point, if you
Yeah.
have escaped with a team with no injuries, it's going to happen this week. Like I know it sounds like bad to wish on you, but I'm sorry. Every human being, every single one of my 6 teams have had an injury. Every single one of my 6 teams that I've had to work with. It's just what it is. Like everyone's going down this year. It's just how it's just going to be. You're going to see some weird rankings at the end of this year. And we're going to have to draft accordingly next year. But yeah, I went down a rabbit hole there. Where the hell? Oh yeah. So yeah, Gibson, you're probably only playing him in situations where your roster's just kind of plagued. So I don't really think it's a bad start, but that's just my opinion. We can go on to my guy if you are ready for it.
Yeah, I'm ready to listen to you talk
He's
here.
ready for it. We told you last week. I'll say it again. I don't mind. I'll do it. Why not? YOLO. You only live once, or you only
Unso.
live twice, or you only live 3 times. It depends on your religion. My religion says you need to trade Devin Singletary because
Really,
guess
my
what?
religion says you have 9 lives because I'm a fucking cat.
He's a cat. He's like Andre Vasilevsky. Any hockey fans out there that appreciate the 2020 Stanley Cup champions, go Bolts. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss was questionable this week, and he did not play. He's going to play this week. I mean, that's just what that tells me. You've had your fun. You've had your 89% snap share fun. Enjoy that. If you didn't listen to me last week, and I told you to sell him last week, and he had 16 points, great. He put up 18 points this week. Now don't be a dumbass. Move this guy off your team because it's not really all that great of a situation when Zach Moss is there. He's not going to get as much touches. He won't see the field as much. That's my argument. I really don't think it's really much you can defend because when Zach Moss is there, his production goes down, his snap share goes down, his touches go down. When Zach Moss isn't there, it goes up. Why? This team uses 2 running backs. They're going to keep using 2 running backs, not because Zach Moss comes back and they're like, nope, let's keep Devin Singletary out there. Hey, Zach Moss, you know how to punt? That's what you're going to be doing from now on. That's not how that works. He's going on the field. I'm good with Devin Singletary. Sorry, move on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Devin Singletary, I mean, he's a talented player and all, but the fucking system here is awful. It's the double-headed dragon of running backs. Devin Singletary, sure, he will have his weeks, but a lot of weeks when Zach Moss is healthy, he is going to very much disappoint you. If he doesn't end up finding the end zone, Zach Moss is going to vulture a couple of touchdowns. They even have a quarterback who fucking vultures like at least 5 to 6 touchdowns every single season. So now you have to bake that in with a double-headed running back committee there. Just go ahead and run away away from Devin Singletary. Take it away. Just run away from Devin Singletary, because at the end of the day, all he's going to do is stab you in the back like his name was OJ Simpson. So thank you. Oh, shout out to other Buffalo Bills running back, OJ Simpson, because they're both on the same team. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you guys click that subscribe button, because not only is it free, like I said at the beginning, I put out content every single day so that you can win that championship. So have a great rest of your guys' day. Make sure you check out Tyler, the sporter.site, at Tyler Moss NFL on Twitter. Hit the Dabskis. Have a great rest of your guys' day. Make sure you guys check out the other bangers that are likely already out today or are coming later in the day. Have a great rest of your guys' day, and I'll see you motherfuckers tomorrow/later.